G'day and welcome to my channel. Now I've been building the Airfix Sunderland. It's a really old classic kit, thoroughly enjoying it, and she's just about finished, just about. There's a few things left to do. But in this video I'm going to show you how I masked out the canopies and the turret assemblies, right? And how I got all those done. There's also a few other little things I'll show you. And under here, hidden away, look, there's bombs. There's bombs. They're all done. So yeah. So there's all that and more coming up in this episode. Oh, there she goes. So the Sunderland is practically finished. Well, there's still decals and things to do. But I'll show you how I accomplished all the masking and how I touched up a few things and a few more hints and tips. And I've got a propeller problem. Well, a propeller solution. So yeah, I'm going to show you how I solved the problem of the propeller. These are the resin ones. And I couldn't get them to stick together last time. Now I have a cunning plan. Now they work. Could nearly use these. Oh, I don't know. I like my spinning ones. I really do. I know they're kind of fake, but I kind of like that whole kind of look. It chortles me, and I hope this video will chortle you. So does that all sound interesting? I hope so. Great. Roll the music. Well, it looks like the minions have got all four of the engines started and they're about to take off with the Sunderland. But I haven't finished it yet. No, there's still things to do. It's looking pretty close though, isn't it? Yeah. Now, one thing that I want to do is mask out the canopy and the turrets. And I've got this Eduard mask. It's for the italeri kit, but I mean, it's the same aircraft. How hard can it be? You know, it should fit. And here's all the instructions. And you will notice it's got lots of little dots there. So they're actually for the portholes. So if you wanted to, these should mask portholes. But I believe there's a problem in that the Airfix kit's portholes are oversized. Whereas the italeri kit, they did get them more to scale. So if you try to use these, they probably, they're going to be all wonky. So just as well I didn't. Just as well I used that crazy method that I had, which worked, of painting the sides and, then assembling it all and then masking it and then painting it and then masking it and painting it. It all came out in the end. All right, so without further ado, let's put this mask on. Now it's sort of obvious. Everything is marked where it is on the sheet, because the sheet just looks like a big thing of yellow. But once you sort of get there, you can see the little cutouts because it's pre-cut. If you've never done one, it's pre-cut. You don't have to cut it out like the ones that Tamiya gives you, where they give you the masking sheet and it's all drawn on there, but you've got to cut it out. Now, Mr. Eduard, he pre-cuts them, and they're usually pretty good. So, let's mask this canopy. We'll start with these top sections here, because I can find those, and I can reference that by pulling off a wheel mask, which I'm not going to use. So that lets me find these things, because the whole yellow sheet is really hard to find stuff on, so that's why I'm using that. Now I'm trying to line this up to the Airfix part, and it sort of has indentations there for about the same sort of window and framing, but as I'll find out later on, it really doesn't sort of work. The italeri one is completely different, and of course this masking is for the italeri one. So I'm sort of persisting here, and this is the method I use. I just use a very sharp knife to get a corner up, and then I lift them out with the tweezers, and I work my way methodically through the instructions. Now I kept sort of fiddling about with this, but it didn't really work. They didn't match up on the part. So I had a big think, and I referenced some photos, and then I realised there was a better way to do this. If I started along the bottom here, the Airfix part matched everything. It matched the italeri one, it matched the photos. So I could put those pieces in and then work my way up to that center section on the top. So yeah, work from the bottom to the top if you're going to do this. And then they all fit together, it all fits in, and that looks pretty good. Pretty happy with that, yeah. Well, the masking's finished. Thank goodness. It was quite a job. And I'm just about ready to spray paint, but I thought I'd just double check and see how it lines up. And everything's looking fairly good now. Although I did have to pull off the ones I started with here and reassess where they went, because the indication of the Airfix kit wasn't the same. In fact, I found it was better with everything to start at the bottom and line them up at the bottom where there's a commonality, and then work your way up to the top. And then basically get the alignment right. But that's looking good, so that's fine. But things like the back turret, yeah, most of that is me. I started doing it, and then things just weren't fitting, and I realised they had another piece that went around the back, and I didn't have that because remember the marking set is for the italeri kit, and the Aifix kit is so different. So all this top area, all of this here, and this stripe down the middle, that's me looking at reference photos and then going, all right, we'll get closer to what it actually should look like. So there's that. Forward one as well, I had to add a whole lot of extra stuff to it. The dorsal one is 100% me. Because this sheet, as you can see, there's a lot left over I didn't use. It didn't have the dorsal turret because I think it was for a Mark 1 and the Mark 1 didn't have a turret there. So I had to make that up from bits I had left over that should have gone on the back of the front turret, but there's no clear part on the back with the Aifix kit. It's plastic there, whereas there should actually be windows there. But it's plastic, solid plastic, so that's just how it is. So in the end, yeah, I ended up doing about half of the front turret manually, half of the rear turret manually, and the complete dorsal one, I did it all, basically from bits and pieces, and then I made it all up. But we've got there. We've got things masked. So just if you think you can do like I've done and, oh, I'll buy that Eduard thing, that looks great, Harry, just be warned, it doesn't fit. So a lot of it, you're going to have to use your masking skills. Now, I didn't show that this time. I'll do another video where I show sort of some of the tricks I know masking. In fact, a lot of the time it's a lot easier just to whack a piece of tape right over the side of something, and then if you know where all the frames are, very lightly with a very sharp knife, just run down, or using a rule, score, and then lift out the pieces that separate it, and you have much better masking. Everything will line up that way. It's a good trick to learn. I'll show it in another video so that you can see, because that's how I basically got all of that. All right, she's masked. What I need to do now is put some paint on. Well, it's the next day, and I actually peeled the masks off pretty well straight away. I like to take them off when it's the paint's tacky, but it isn't fully cured yet because I find they peel off better. But I've left this one to show you, so we'll just see if it's any better when it's dry. Often when it's dry, I can sometimes get caught and rip everything off. I don't know. There's arguments both ways, but this one is for the tail, right? So now the white paint didn't go on as thickly as I thought, but I found that I can pretty well just run a brush just very quickly with neat white over there, and it's fine. At least I've got defined edges, so see how we go. All right, so starting on one side, I use little pointy tweezer things, and I worry a little corner. I think this is easier with my fingers because I've got more control. Here we go. So I just worry a little corner towards the middle, because you never push towards the outside, because then you'll tear a hole in your painting. So worry that. Oh, it's a bit more stubborn than usual. Here we go. Once you've got it lifted a bit, okay, then usually you can get in. Of course, the trick here always is not scratching the glass, Mr. Harry. And there you go. So that's pretty good. I did burnish all the edges as much as I could. I mean, there's a lot of them. That's a lot of things to mask on this. So we'll just see how we go. So again, there you go. Swing of it now. How nice is that? All right, I'll keep going and get all these off. So you can see this is already starting to look quite nice. Let me finish it off and I'll show you the final result. Well, it's come out and it's not too bad. It's not too bad. But I mean, there's always areas where there's imperfections. So there's a bit of sort of bleed there from, because I was trying to figure out how to mask all that. So it's a bit rough around the edges and I can touch that up. A couple of holes there. Holes are the easiest to fix. All you do is get a very fine brush. Now I've got a 4-0 here from Rosemary, and she is very good at this sort of thing because she's tiny. So you get the tiniest poofteenth of paint and you can just go in and touch them up. So I'll be doing that. That's an easy one to do. But some things are a bit sort of rough, you know. Something's not too bad, but there's like a little rough edge there. Oh, that one's probably one I can paint. But here I've definitely got some gunk. So one trick is using a toothpick. Now what you do is you first got to manufacture the toothpick, and what you've got to do is create a little sort of wedgy thing. Okay, so you get rid of the point, but what you do is you create this little wedge. Right, so it's like a knife edge, right? And then once you've got that, you can very carefully it's great. Now, if it's stubborn like that one, then what you want to do is give it an edge that it can fall away from. So using a very, very sharp knife and being very careful, you just lay it and just basically use the weight of the knife, nothing more, because you don't want big holes in your canopy, or So again, using a little wedge, you should be now able to push that out. There you go, pops out. See, because now, because it had the little cut to work off, you can lever it out. You can also use the normal pointy edge just to clean things up. There's sort of junk in there, but be careful using that edge sort of anywhere else, because it can lever. There you go, I've even wrecked it. You can put even more holes in. You can wreck things. So here, that sort of hasn't really worked. So what I probably need to do here is go, okay, that's going to need to basically line up across there. So I'm going to need to cut that out. Okay, and then I can paint up the rest. This is similar to how I often do masking when I don't have a sheet, is that I actually just lay the knife on there. Normally you've got little bumpy bits on your canopy, so you can, you can use those as a bit of a guide. So now, using my little wedge, we should be able to do the same trick again and just chisel that bit out. There we go, sort of there. Sort of there, nearly there. I'll work on it off camera. So yeah, you often get little bits that need doing. It's rare that it's ever perfect, but areas here are not too bad. Now there's some rough edges along there. You can try and just sort of see how that goes, or you might need to actually get in with a sharp knife. See there, because those are holes, so they've kind of got a little bit just a bit of sort of gunk on there. There we go, let's tidy that up. So parts of it look really good, but there's parts I've got to tidy up, so I'll get on with that. There you go, after about an hour of just carefully knifing out the bits that I don't need and peeling them away and just touching up gently with a bit of the light colour white paint. Plus I needed to put a little more white on these, so with a bit of extra white on them, that grey isn't there anymore, and I've added a few more panel areas. I've cut out a top section here and tidied things up. This one, it's close to how it should be. I mean, it's all painted in the back, so that's the dorsal one, that's fine, that's all good, and the tail one's looking really good, and this front one is all tidied up now. It's looking as good as you can get it in this sort of scale, doing things. Still got a little crack there, that's actually in the plastic part. We'll call that war damage. Yes, it got hit by Messerschmitt. So I'm pretty happy with that. They should look terrific. I'll get them onto the plane now, and I've got to put the guns in as you do it, of course, because yeah, the guns go behind. Don't forget that, Harry. And now for the moment of truth. Put in the dorsal one there. You can tell I've been working out of this with the paint on my fingers. That fits. That looks a lot better. I'd also painted the white underneath that one, so very happy with that. Moving to the front, and this one fits in just pretty tight. That one's in. I'm going to have to touch up the barrel. I've managed to remove the paint. And getting to the rear, this beautiful little 4-barrel turret. It's firm, it fits in, and boy, is that looking good. Now, if you'd watched my previous video, you'd seen the problems I had trying to get these aftermarket resin props to cement to the little hub in the middle. And it was quite tricky. I ended up using white wood glue. It was the only thing that would actually adhere. But I had a brilliant idea. I remembered the the Italeri Fiat 500 that I was building. It was a dreadful kit. And as soon as I actually painted it, the weight of the paint caused the suspension to snap. And it was hopeless. I had to fix the whole thing together with some brass wire. So I thought, could we do it here? And the answer is yes. I've put a tiny little piece of brass wire in there. It's 0.5mm. Drilled holes in either end. And okay. And it just clicks in. And that all holds together. There's no glue on that at all. So they're just sitting there. And I can still adjust my pitch. That's not too hard because that'll rotate. So my jig still comes in very handy. I just simply put my blades on there and I can adjust the pitch and everything works perfectly. So there you go. A simple solution for a problem was really annoying me. Now, one of the last things to add to the Sunderland are the bombs. And no, they're not depth charges. I got that wrong last time. These are bombs. And apparently they're green. And they got a little yellow stripe. That's was the final resolution of asking about it. And I got some actual official paperwork on it. They're going to be green. Yeah. So, I have made them all up. If you saw the last video, you'll know I changed the ends of them. The ends were just like solid and horrible. So I've put little tubes on there, which are closer to the actual reality of the bomb. So I've already got those glued together and I've got some Mr. Surfacer on there. So all I got to do is sand and paint. Let's get on with that. My bombs are out of the spray booth and they are all green. Well, they're green until you do this. And hopefully this will work. There we go. So they're quite smart now and hollowed out at the end. I think they look quite good. So it's time to put them on the Sunderland. And after some fumbling and fiddling, I've got all my bombs on. And I think they look rather smart. And if we go around to the back, hopefully they're not going to fall off. They're still gluing. We have a look at the back. Look! See? They're all hollowed out. And I know it's only a little thing and I'm getting all excited about it, but these sort of things make the difference between, you know, just a model kit you build out of the box or something where you've just added that little bit. And that wasn't a hard thing to do. And I really enjoyed it. Okay, that was the last part that I used contact cement. There's one more part to be added, and then this whole thing is assembled. It's the landing lights. Now, got a little neat trick here because I'd already painted in there the grey that's going to sit behind the lenses for them. And I'm using a very small drill bit here on basically the join, so I know it's pretty well in the middle there. And I'm just drilling a little pilot hole. Now we're going with a decent sized one, which is to simulate the fact that there is a lamp back there. It's not currently turned on, but there will be a hole there which will give us sort of an effect. You'll see what happens in a sec. So, got those drilled out, Harry? Come on. People are waiting. Get on with it. Yeah. What are you doing now? You're going to clean your teeth? Mate, we've got models to make. Oh, goodness me. All right, so there's a little lens, fiddly little buggers. They're friction fitting in though, which is amazing. No glue here at all at the moment. I will fix them in with whitewood glue, but I want to get this video finished for you quickly. Get it out. So time's are wasting. So there you go. They're in. And there we have it. The Sunderland is completely assembled. That's it. There's nothing else to put. Well, there's decals to put on, yes. And there's weathering to be done. And, and I'm going to make that Ciarama thing for it to float in. There's going to be a part 10. Yes, I'm afraid so. Anyhow, look, if you're enjoying the sort of thing I'm doing, look, hit those buttons down there. It helps the algorithm, that sort of thing, likes, comments, all that sort of stuff, and subscriptions. It's fantastic. And if you really want to help me out, buy me a curry. Yep, that'll be fantastic. That really gives me the cash to keep going and doing this channel. So that's sort of where I'm going to leave the Sunderland. It kind of looks exactly the same as it was at the end of the last video. But it isn't, because there's an extra patch of white here. Yes, we didn't have that last time. I painted the white underneath there. That was a bit bloody tricky, trying to mask that all up and paint it in. And there's other little touch-ups that you don't know about. Oh, plus we have the landing lights in, yes. And although we can see them, but there's bombs. Yeah, so we did do something. But it's sort of been a funny old week for me this week. All right, well, without further ado, let's leave it there. I will see you in part 10 when finally decals will go on. There'll be a bit of weathering and I'll put a bit of matte coat on and it'll come alive. And then I'll stick it in the bathtub. All right, it's goodbye from Australia and it's hooroo from Harry Houdini.